you don't expect anything external to be a certain way because you love it unconditionally. So there's no need to even control anything or resist anything because everything is happening for your greater good. Even the seemingly bad things, right? We start to understand that love also comes through the form of challenging experiences, the lessons that we're able to learn give room for us to expand even more. It creates that contrast so that when we come back, we meet ourselves with deeper understanding, we meet ourselves with more depth. And just as much as we have gone through that challenge and we've learned the lesson, we come out at the other side and we expand, we understand more, we evolve more. And that only gives room for more and more growth, more and more freedom, more and more expression of self, of our true self, of our true nature. Just as much as we're free to be our authentic self, we are allowing everybody else to also be their authentic self. And we trust that everything is perfect. We trust in the divine union of things, in the cohesiveness of things. We do not feel like anything is out of place. We are keyed in this very moment, trusting that everything is working out perfectly because everything is working out perfectly. So no, it's not delusional. It is the truth because at the end of the day there is a greater intelligence at play that we do not even understand. But if we trust that this greater intelligence is moving as it should move, then we are free to also move as we move. Remember that with rejection, this was the love that we had wanted all along. And now we see that we can embody this love because we're able to evolve from the wounding to these more liberating themes, these more liberating perspective towards life. And we see how beautiful life has been once we start taking apart all these layers of conditioning. We start to see how beautiful life has always been, and we can truly start being less preference based and just more unconditionally loving. The more that we show up that way, it reinforces our belief in the goodness and love for life. And this is the grand truth. And it's a truth that can only be accessed through faith and just believing that there is a greater good. And the more that you believe, the more it reinforces this. Understanding that everything is perfectly working out the way it should be. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way. We don't see it that way. But trusting that everything is working out exactly how it should be. And once you expand your understanding of life, once you evolve as self, you get to the point where you start understanding why certain things had to happen, why you had to experience certain things to get to this point now. And it just that it makes sense having experienced it. It makes sense now, but at the time when it was happening, it's like you couldn't have seen it. And that's the greater intelligence that I speak of because everything is happening exactly as it should. Even the seemingly negative things are happening for a reason, right? You had to go through the pain so that you could come out to this other side. And that's also how different interworkings are going on the side so that you emerge this version of self so that everyone moves in their own timing and does their own thing, right? And that's the bigger picture still, being able to trust and move in accordance and trust that everything is happening and everything is in the becoming, and understanding that it would still be encompassing in this bigger picture. And everything is perfect. It may not seem that way, but everything is perfect. And the more we choose to key into this truth, this narrative, we reinforce that for our own selves. It also reinforces our ability to choose different. You can choose a different perspective at every given moment. You can choose to see things differently. With all of these tools, with all of these layers of healing and layers of enlightenment, you can always choose the loving perspective. And yeah, again, your internal world reinforces, creates your external world. And just as your external world would pour that back into you, so as you take on these new perspectives to life, they start being reinforced in your external world, and that continues to pour back into you. So yes, everything is perfect, everything is as it should be, and you can choose differently. You can choose to see things from a loving perspective. You can choose to see the good in things. And that doesn't mean that, that naivety would creep in terms of thinking that everything is perfect and then you should go straight into danger. No, it's not la la land, right? There is still a need for caution, there is still a need for intuition, there's still a need for discretion. So the more that you evolve and expand, that even means that you have to be more discerning of things. But it doesn't mean that you have to be extreme and then come from a place of wounding. No, at this point, we are lighter, we have different perceptions to life, we have a more loving perspective to life, whilst you are being discerning of things and not just naive of things. You're also being accountable, and all of these different layers of the healing themes are also embedded within this unconditional love. So, unconditional love plus the other healing. And like I said, it's an ever evolving process. So, as you move forward, as you go into the world, as you start healing, there is still a need yet again to meet new areas of yourself. So, you're always going to fall back to the accountability because they're all embedded within this unconditional love. It invites us to see a new way of life, to see that all is perfect, all is blissful, everything is as it is. Nothing is a mistake, nothing is off, everything is good, and you can trust that, and you can start to see that. There were some things that he asked in the book. It's, what if this is your dream life? What if this is what you've always wanted? What if you're exactly where you should be? What if nothing can stop you? What if you are free? What if you rule the world? What if, right? What if this is your dream life? And that suddenly makes you wonder, what if you've been sleeping all along and you can actually awaken to this perspective in life? In the book, they mentioned how what actually causes our suffering is not our perception of the opposites, right? It's our attachment to them being real. We create this reality based off this perception of something that is not good. But what if you could perceive it as a good thing and then attach the realness to it? Because it is and it isn't at the same time, right? And that also reminds us of the observer self of I, that you can choose to attach to a narrative, attach to something, but you can also choose to detach from it, because something that has been serving you for a while can decide not to serve you anymore. And there's always an opportunity to tune into the higher perspective, the more loving perspective. So it's all an expression of the same self. It's oneness. It's all an expression of God. And to think that there is something that is negative is to reject that it is of God. It's either we accept that it is of God or reject that it is of God. And anything that is created that is existing now is good and perfect. And that is us accepting that it is of God. So the more that we accept that it is of God, the more that we see the positive side to it. Because God is loving, and everything that exists, everything that is an expression of Him is loving by extension. So all is perfect and in the becoming, even though it may not seem that way, even though it looks like, oh, some people are doing bad things, that is a human limitation already. And even you who is judging that is also limited in your own way. So the earlier we start accepting ourselves as the oneness that we are, accepting our own selves and accepting other people, and being unconditionally loving and accepting of it all, the more love that we see around us and we get to experience, you get to choose, and you can attach the perception that this is real, and it becomes real, because that is the power of the inside. That is the power of coming from the inner place. Whatever you believe to be real becomes your truth, becomes real. So why not choose the more loving, fulfilling perspective? And the ultimate gift of love is life. Life is an expression of love. So that we exist, that we were made in his image, means that we are expressions of love. Means that we have that love within us, and we can always access it. We can always come from a